wanted to call it. She called?
Then she said that she became tired.
Jai Saparikar Shri Shri Guru Gauranga Gandhar Vikra Giridham Shri Shri Radha Navadvip Hari Jiyo Ki. Everyone say Jai. Jai Nityalila Pravishtam Vishnupad Paramahansa Ashtatara Sata Shri Srila A.C. Bhakti Vedanta Swami Maharaj Srila Prabhupada Ki. Nityalila Pravishtam Vishnupad Paramahansa Ashtatara Sata Shri Srila Bhakti Vedanta Narayana Goswami Maharaj Ki. Nityalila Pravishtam Vishnupad Paramahansa Ashtatara Sata Shri Srila Bhakti Rakshak Sridhar Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai. Nityalila Pravishtam Vishnupad Paramahansa Ashtatara Sata Shri Srila Bhakti Pragyan Kesava Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai. Nityalila Pravishtam Vishnupad Paramahansa Ashtatara Sata Shri Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Thakur Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Jai Mahabhagavat Srila Gaur Kishore Das Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai. Shri Srila Sachidananda Bhakti Vinod Thakur Ki Jai. Vaishnava Sarvabhaum Shri Srila Jagannath Das Babaji Maharaj Ki Jai. Jai Shri Gaudiya Vedanta Charya Baladev Vijayabhushan Prabhu Ki Jai. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur Ki Jai. Srila Narottam Srinivas Shyamananda Prabhu Trai Ki Jai. Srila Krishna Das Kaviraj Goswami Prabhu Ki Jai. Sri Rupa Sanatan Bhakta Raghunath Sri Jiva Gopala Bhakta Dasa Raghunath Sada Goswami Prabhu Ki Jai. What is that voice? It's coming from you. That sounds like Madhusudan.
Yes, it's very slow.
I know, but we have our windows open and everything. So either they have to close, we shouldn't close our windows, we have many people in the room. We can ask them to close their windows. Jai Rasika Shiromani Shri Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur Ki Jai. Shri Narottam Srinivas Shyamananda Prabhu Trai Ki Jai. Srila Krishna Das Kaviraj Goswami Prabhu Ki Jai. Sri Rupa Sanatan Bhakta Raghunath Shri Jiva Gopala Bhakta Dasa Raghunath Sada Goswami Prabhu Ki Jai. Srila Sarup Damodar Rai Ramanandari Gaura Parsada Vrinda Ki Jai. Nam Acharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. Prem Sigo Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Sivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. Shri Shri Antardvip Mayapur Simanta Dvip Godrum Dvip Madhya Dvip Gola Dvip Ritu Dvip Jana Dvip Moda Druma Dvip Rudadvip Atmaka Shri Shri Navadvip Dham Ki Jai. Jai Shri Purushottam Kshetra Shri Jagannath Puri Dham Ki Jai. Jai Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopi Go Govardhan Vadashavanatmaka Shri Braj Mandala Dham Ki Jai. Shyama Kunda Radha Kunda Yamuna Ganga Tulsi Bhakti Devi Ki Jai. Shri Shri Radha Govinda Radha Gopinath Radha Madan Mohan Jiyo Ki Jai. Shri Shri Radha Gokulananda Radha Shyama Sundar Radha Raman Radha Damodar Jiyo Ki Jai. Shrimati Lalita Vishaka Adi Ashta Sakhi Vrinda Ki Jai. Shri Rupa Manjari Rati Manjari Adi Manjari Vrinda Ki Jai. Shrimati Vrinda Devi Ki Jai. Shrimati Purnamasi Yogamaya Devi Ki Jai. Shri Gopi Swar Mahadeva Ki Jai. Sarva Bhishta Pradata Giriraj Govardhana Ki Jai. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai. Shri Jagannath Baladev Subhadra Sudarshan Chakrajiyu Ki Jai. Jai Bhakti Vigna Vinashana Shri Nrsingadev Ki Jai. Bhakta Prabhu Shri Prahlad Maharaj Ki Jai. Charodam Charusampradaya Chara Acharya Ki Jai. Akramat Raj Shri Chaitanya Mat Ki Jai. Aur Ananya Shakamat Samuha Ki Jai. Jai Shri Vishva Vaishnava Raj Sabha Ki Jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai. Tribhuvana Pavana Harinama Sankirtana Ki Jai. Tribhuvana Mangala Harinama Prabhu Ki Jai. Hare Krishna Maha Mantra Ki Jai. Shri Sachinandana Gaura Hari Ki Jai. Shri Nityananda Mahajana Ki Jai. Shri Pancha Tattva Ki Jai. Samaveta Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. Samagata Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. Jai Shri Shri Nitai Gaura Prem Anandi. Om Ajnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Mukam Karoti Vachalam Pangam Langayate Girim Yat Kripatamaham Vande Shri Gurun Dinataram. Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhyaeva cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah. Namo Mahabhadanaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namni Gaura Tishe Namaha. Nityanandam Namastubhyam Premananda Pradayane Kalo Kalmashanashaya Janava Pataye Panchatattvatmakam Krishna Bhakta Rupa Swarupakam Bhaktavataram Bhaktakyam Namami Bhakta Shaktikam. He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagatpade Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vrindai Tulsi Devai Priyai Keshavasya cha Krishna Bhakti Prade Devi Satyavachaya Namo Namah. Madhusudan Prabhu is coming. Someone should help him. Help him. Is he going to sit up here or what? We'll see what he wants to do. Jai Pujapad Madhusudan Prabhu Ki Jai. Jai Gurudev Sevak Ki Jai. Shri Madhusudan Prabhu Ki Jai. Oh my God. Do you want to sit with your leg out? Are you sure? Then we should give a chair and some soft thing that he can put his leg up. Yeah, some soft thing.
No. Yeah. Bring. You continue. No, this is not big. This is not big.
Okay.
I'm missing the last one. You continue.
So open the door so we get the fresh air and the windows, so we get the sun, the fresh air. So we're very happy that Madhusudan Prabhu has come to our class, and now he's getting a little better each day. Translate. And we know that after this time period, Madhusudan Prabhu is healing, right? Then after that, it will be like an explosion. He will want to go everywhere, preaching the message of Mahaprabhu. Yeah, you have to show Madhusudan Prabhu to the people. He Krishna Karuna Sindho Dina Bandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Paripriya Jayatam Suruto Pangor Mamamanda Mater Gati Matsarvasva Padam Bhojo Radha Madana Moha Divyad Vrindaranya Kalpadrumadha Srimad Ratanagar Singhashanasto Srimad Radha Srila Govinda Devo Preshtadabhi Sevyamano Smarami Sriman Rasarasarambi Vamshivata Tatakstitaha Karshanavenu Svanayra Gopir Gopinata Shriyestunam Bhaktya Vihina Aparadha Lakshai Shiptascha Kamadi Taranga Madhye Kripa Maitvam Sharanam Prapanna Brinde Numaste Charanarvind Vrindai Tulsidevai Priyai Keshavasya Cha Krishna Bhakti Pradeve Satyavachai Namo Namaha Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivas Adi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Everyone, Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama. First of all, I'm offering my unlimited Dandavat Pranams and my Shraddha Pushpanjali at the lotus feet of my most worshipable, beloved Gurudev, Nitya Lila Pravishtom Vishnupada Paramahansa, Ashtatara Shata Shri Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj, Srila Prabhupada. Then I'm offering my same unlimited Dandavat Pranams and my Shraddha Pushpanjali at the lotus feet of my most worshipable, beloved Siksha Gurudevs, Nityalila Pravishtom Vishnupad Paramahansa, Ashtatara Shata Shri Srila Bhakti Rakshak Sridhar Goswami Maharaj, and Nityalila Pravishta Om Vishnupad Paramahansa, Ashtatara Shata Shri Srila Bhakti Vedanta Narayan Goswami Maharaj. I offer my Dandavat Pranams at the lotus feet of all of my Shri Rupa Nuga Guru Varga. And I offer my Dandavat Pranams to all of the Vaishnavas and to all of the Vaishnavas. So we are studying 2 books. Again, I'm repeating that Gurudev told that these 2 books are the very process to attain perfection. One is given by Srila Rupa Goswami. It is called Sri Upadesamrta, the essence of all instructions, the nectar of instruction. And the other book is written by Srila Raghunath Das Goswami as his own prayer to his mind. It's called Mana Siksha. We all know Siksha means instruction. So Mana Siksha means instructions to our mind. That book, combined with Rupa Goswami's Upadeshamrita, constitute all instructions. But to understand those instructions, we will have to go deeply into the purports as given by Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, Srila Bhakti Vinod Thakur, our Gurudev, our Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, and also Radha Raman Das Goswami, who was one of the accepted commentators hundreds of years ago in the line of the family of personalities who are the Pandas and the Pujaris of Sri Radha Ramanji and Vrindavan. So, I also mentioned the other day that Gurudev said there are also 2 other books that are very essential for all devotees. And we should understand that these books are not just for reading one time. Oh yes, I read that book. Oh yes, I read that book. No. These books are our guide books, step by step. How we go on this pathway of bhakti. Checking ourselves also. Taking our pulse. Are we progressing? Are we advancing? Are we overcoming our anarthas? Are we developing taste? Are we trying to advance towards the ultimate goal that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has come to give? Mahaprabhu, the supreme Mahavadanya avatar, most generous, he has come to give. So, we have to learn what that thing is that he's come to give. What it is. What is its nature? What are all the qualities of that Krishna Prem that he has come to give? That's why Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he did not come alone to this world. He came accompanied by his eternal associates from Goloka Vrindavan, especially the Manjaris. Why? Because the Manjaris, who serve Srimati Radhika and have more tendency toward her than towards Krishna, that mood is the exact mood that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu actually came to bestow that has never been given before by anyone, any incarnation, in any yuga, in any universe. Sure don't need some pillow. Okay. Yes. So, Gurudev also mentioned Sikshastakam. Who gave the Sikshastakam to the world? Yes? It is the only recorded verses, shlokas, that definitely Mahaprabhu has given. He spoke many other shlokas, like at Rath Yatra and so forth. Naham Vipro Nacha Narapatir Napi Vaishyo Nishanta. But Sikshastakam, he gave at the very end of his pastimes. Ashtakam, 8 verses. And this is also called Siksha. Like Manasiksha, Siksha Ashtakam. Siksha Ashtakam. And unless we have the purports of Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur and our Guru Varga, we would not be able to actually understand those 8 shlokas. And how, within those 8 shlokas, everything has been given. But how are you going to understand that? So therefore, there are 2 more books emphasized very much by our Gurudev. And he also gave them in the English language, in Hindi language. What is that? The book titled Sikshastakam. And there we have the purports of Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, Bhaktivinoda Thakur in that book. But also Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur wrote an entire book to go extremely deep into the bhajan, which will be followed by the sadhakas in order to attain this Krishna prema. And that book is called Bhajan Rahasya. This Bhajan Rahasya must be read by us many times. Many times. And we should also try to memorize, because there, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur has given all the praman, all the different shlokas, from all the different shastras, especially Srimad Bhagavatam, to illuminate the meaning of each slok of Bhajan Rahasya. And what is the basis of that book? 8 chapters. For 8 shlokas. First shloka, first chapter of Sikshastakam, first shloka. And at the end of each chapter in Bhajan Rahasya, he quotes another shloka from Sri Govinda Lilamrita of Sri Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami, wherein he has summarized a particular time period of the day of Krishna's eternal Ashtakalya Leela pastimes. His 8 time periods of the day, 24 hours divided into 8. And there is one shloka which summarizes that time period. So, and he has also shown that the 8 shlokas of the Sikshastakam correspond also to those 8 time periods of Krishna's pastimes. Not only that, he has also shown in that book that the different stages that a sadhak will have to gradually go through in his attainment, beginning from Shraddha all the way up to praying. Those 8 stages are also shown in the 8 verses of Sikshastakam. Ado Shraddha Tatak Sadhu Sangha Tavajana Kriya Anartha Nivriti Nishta Ruchi Asakti Bhav. Actually it's 9, but Bhav is the final stage in this body, in this world. Praying cannot be attained in this body. I told this the other day in our class. And in addition to the Bhajan Rahasya book, now Gurudev has also given the whole world, he has given this extremely important book, which is the book written by Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur Madhurya Kadambini, where the stages of bhakti are given in explicit description. So we are not blind. We are not blind. We have everything guiding us from our acharyas every single step of the way. But we should know what is the process. Because otherwise many, many deviations can take place, and they do take place, because that's the nature of this material world of the conditioned souls. The conditioned souls are always inclined toward sense gratification, and the conditioned souls are always mixing that into their attempt to follow the pathway of bhakti. So the neophyte devotees, especially the Kanishta Adhikaris, they still have many anarthas, but that's okay, because you're in the process. Those anarthas are going to gradually be removed. But we have to be very careful that we continue to properly follow the process. There's so many, many, many innumerable deviations from the process. So, by studying these books, then everything becomes very clear. Very clear. So, sadhya and sadhana. These two words, sadhya and sadhana. You know the meaning? You know the meaning? Sadhya is goal, yes. Sadhana is the process, the practice by which you have to follow. The sadhana, the practice. And what is that sadhana? Shuddha Bhakti. That sadhana is Shuddha Bhakti. That is why Srila Rupa Goswami has written this huge book, Upadesamrta, to describe what is Shuddha Bhakti. Yeah? What is Shuddha Bhakti? All these books by our acharyas are like golden, invaluable jewels. They are so precious, what they have given to us. And we have to try to follow them in our life, from the beginning. So this Krishna consciousness movement of the present day, we know that Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur and Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, this is the line that we are in, coming down from our previous acharyas. And these two personalities have also given the most essential literatures to understand the books of the six Goswamis, of Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, all these great literatures that have been given in the Sanskrit language. But Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur wrote nearly 100 books during his lifespan, and especially some absolutely essential books like Jaiva Dharma. Because Jaiva Dharma tells everything that is in all these other 4 or 5 books that I just mentioned. Jaiva Dharma condenses that into one book.
You should only study Jaiva Dharma.
Because Jaiva Dharma is something that should be continuously studied. But as we advance, then we will become more eligible to read it. Because the third part of Jaiva Dharma is called the Rasa Tattva. And most devotees who are in the neophyte condition, they are not actually eligible to read that. You see. So, that eligibility has to be gradually attained. We should study all the books. I want to tell one quote I was just remembering the other day from my Guru Maharaj, Srila Prabhupada. He has written this in his Chaitanya Charitamrita. Now there is one shloka in Bengali. I don't know, maybe Madhusudan Prabhu knows it or can remember it, but it's Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami is expressing that persons become strong by eating grains. And similarly, the pastimes of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, which are so relishable, they also give one vitality by hearing those pastimes. Just like you cannot have strength and vitality without eating grains. Here, if we removed the rice from the daily prasadam here, you would find that everyone has become very, very unhappy. And gradually they will become weaker and weaker. So grains are given by Krishna. No? Anad Bhavanti, what is it? In the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna is talking about how by performing yajna, then rains come down, and grains grow. And by these grains growing, and then the men, the human beings taking that, offering it to the Supreme Lord, and then taking the prasadam, this is the perfect cycle. Because if somebody does that, then the rain will continue to come. You see? The demigods have responded to our attempt. So the quote I was going to tell about Srila Prabhupada, in relation to that verse, Srila Prabhupada writes in the purport, and to me, when I first read that, and I'm talking about like 1975, 1976 I read this, and also other devotees read it and we're like, whoa, what's Prabhupada telling us here? So Srila Prabhupada, in his purport to that verse, where one must hear the pastimes of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to become full of vitality and strength, just like one has to eat grains. So then Srila Prabhupada says in his purport, he says, every member of this Krishna consciousness movement must read every book that has been published, including Srimad Bhagavatam, Chaitanya Charitamrita, Nectar of Devotion, Nectar of Instruction, like this. Otherwise, if one does not, what will happen? One will gradually eat and sleep and become weaker and weaker and fall down from his position, thus missing the opportunity to attain an eternal life of bliss and knowledge. To the best of my memory, that's the exact quote. I'll look it up. But when we read this, we were okay, we have to read these books. And reading the books does not just mean reading. Reading the books means hearing also. In the association of Vaishnavas who are senior or superior to yourself, then the meaning can become more and more clear. You see? So, that's why we're going to study these books. Beginning with these two books, Upadesamrta and Manasiksha. And then expanding out from there, Bhajan Rahasya, Sikshastakam, like this. This is our curriculum. You know, in a university course, you have curriculum. What do you call it? Okay. But in that curriculum, in that programa plan, you have books. Yes? And you have to get those books. And you have to read those books. And you have to study them. And you have to memorize certain things. And then you have to take your test. But especially you have to attend the classes of the professor who is teaching the book. Otherwise, no way that you can get your university degree and you can get proper knowledge. You see. So, I'm stressing this. I'm giving stress to this because also I see. I'm watching for 52 years, okay, so I know. And I see how much neglect devotees are doing to the Shastras and reading on a daily basis. Also means hearing. Like some devotees, they like to do different activities of seva, and they're hearing sometimes these audiobooks, like Srimad Bhagavatam and so on. This is also good. But still we should read also. Also we should read. Because you cannot go very deep in your understanding only by just hearing as you're doing other things. You see? All right. Upadesamrta, Manasiksha. What does our Gurudev tell about these two books? So this is Gurudev's introduction from his Hindi book, translated into English. You have to go. Oh, just standing. Okay. So here he's telling that Sri Upadesamrta is highly revered in this Gaudiya Vaishnava community, Sampradaya. What is going on? I keep on opening up this app. It goes to the book, and then I go to the page, and then it disappears. Okay, let's see. So, the whole community of Gaudiya Vaishnavas, they embrace this Upadesamrita. And Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who came to this world to inaugurate the congregational chanting of Sri Krishna's holy names, that's called Nam Sankirtan, he appeared with the Bhav and Kanti of Srimati Radhika. This Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So, and he came to give the most elevated, radiant divine love for Sri Krishna that had never been given before. For the benefit of all jivas, of all living beings, Srila Rupa Goswami, he churned the ocean of Srimad Mahaprabhu's instructions. And then he extracted the essence of those instructions in the form of Sri Upadesamrita. The instructions given in this book, they are indispensable for the practitioners, for the sadhakas, who are trying to go on this devotional pathway of bhakti. You know this word, indispensable? You cannot ignore this. You ignore this, bye-bye. These are indispensable instructions. Every devotee must know by heart these instructions. And that's why Rupa Goswami only composed 11 shlokas. Not very difficult. But in our life, we should learn those shlokas. We should understand deeply the meaning. Yes. So he says here, Gurudev is saying that without following these instructions, then to enter the realm of pure devotion, and especially to follow this very intricate and very elevated path of what? Spontaneous devotion, raga nuga bhakti. It is not only difficult, but it is impossible. What did Gurudev just say in this sentence?
Not possible to come in the realm of bhakti
Without what?
without studying and deeply understanding and following these rules.
Yes, following the instructions given in this book, you cannot enter the realm of pure devotion. That means Shuddha Bhakti. You cannot enter. And then he even goes further and he says, especially, what can you not enter? Oh, this intricate and very elevated path of spontaneous devotion, raga nuga bhakti. He says, without this, it is not only difficult, but it is impossible. Невозможно. Is that correct? Impossible. Impossible.
Not only difficult,
Huh?
even impossible. Not only difficult, even impossible.
Yes. Yes. So, this is the first paragraph of his introduction, okay? And here, Gurudev is very clearly told. But the question is, are we following that? Or trying to follow? Or even trying to begin to follow? Huh? That's the question. All right. Now, Gurudev is explaining about the diary that was kept by Govinda Das, who was the personal servant of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. In Jagannath Puri, Govinda was his personal servant. He was also a disciple of Sri Ishwara Puri, a godbrother of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. But Madhavendra Puri Ishwara Puri had told Govinda that you should go and serve Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Before he departed this world, Ishwara Puri gave him that instruction. So therefore, even though he was the godbrother of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and generally it's not such good etiquette to just accept seva from a personal seva from a godbrother, right? But in this case, Mahaprabhu had to accept. Because Ishwara Puripad gave the order. Yes. So that personality, Govinda Das, the personal servant of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Prem Avatar. Mahaprabhu is the Prem Avatar. Okay? He's the avatar of Krishna Prem. So, imagine how elevated is Govinda to serve directly. Yes. And before Mahaprabhu wound up his pastimes and returned to his eternal, unmanifest pastimes, in that time period in Jagannath Puri, Mahaprabhu remained constantly, day and night, 24 hours, constantly. He was overwhelmed in what? Sudipta. Sudipta means all the symptoms of prem in their highest stage of development. It's called blazing, like a fire that you grow, and then it becomes blazing fire. Mahaprabhu was day and night, completely overwhelmed in those moods of Sudipta, prem, in the mood of Vipralambha, divine separation mood. So, at that time, Mahaprabhu's two intimate servants, Swarup Damodar and Sri Ramananda Roy, they were always with Mahaprabhu. And they would try to pacify him by singing different shlokas to somehow or other captivate Mahaprabhu's attention and his heart and all of this, that this is going on for years. Huh? Mahaprabhu did not come out very often. He was always in this kind of internal mood. So Ramananda Roy and Swarup Damodar, they would try to pacify Mahaprabhu by singing verses that were relevant to the mood that he was experiencing. Can you imagine what kind of seva that is? No one in the universe can do that kind of seva for Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Who are those two personalities? These are directly most intimate Sakhis of Srimati Radhika, and they know all of Srimati Radhika's moods. And now they're there to hold his hand and walk him on the pathway of Radha Bhav, so that he can taste and experience that. Now, on one occasion, Mahaprabhu was sitting with his devotees in Jagannath Puri on the shore of the ocean, and he was engaged in hearing the narrations about Krishna Katha. And then, when Mahaprabhu saw the dense groves of the trees that were lining the shore of the blue ocean, now we see hotels there, but at that time it was forest lining the shore of the ocean. And when he saw this dense grove of trees, and he saw the blue-colored ocean, blue color, then he saw the tall sand dunes, And then what happened to Mahaprabhu? He remembered Govardhan. He remembered Giriraj Govardhan Hill. He remembered Yamuna River. He remembered the many beautiful gardens and all the kunjas and all the groves that are situated on her banks of Yamuna. And suddenly, all this sprang up inside of Mahaprabhu's heart. And then he began bitterly weeping in separation from Krishna. Weeping and weeping in separation from Krishna. And when, after some time, then Mahaprabhu's excitement, it subsided a little bit, and then he became peaceful. Then he gave the assembled devotees some instructions in a soft and a sweet voice. Mahaprabhu spoke to his devotees in a soft and sweet voice. Those instructions comprise the verses of Sri Upadesamrta. So from the very beginning of our spiritual lives, as we try to become sadhakas, so from the very beginning, it is compulsory for the sadhaks who desire to enter the realm of bhakti, it is compulsory for the sadhakas to renounce the activities that are unfavorable for progress in spiritual life. Right? Understand this point? It is compulsory. Like what? What are the activities that are unfavorable for progress in spiritual life? We all know. We are following them in our life. We are avoiding those activities. But in the beginning, some persons, they are coming and they have some bad anarthas and bad, impressions in the heart, samskaras. And they also have some addiction. So therefore, our acharyas have given the standard, most important instructions, and then there's many others, But for example, when Srila Prabhupada came to the Western countries, where everybody was addicted to what? Intoxication, illicit sex, gambling, and meat eating. But on the morning after the initiation ceremony, Prabhupada's first initiation ceremony for his disciples, then all the devotees woke up and they found that there was a piece of paper, which was put up on the wall by who? Srila Prabhupada, in his own handwriting. And what did that piece of paper say? All initiated disciples must adhere to the following rules and regulations. Know this, know this, know that, know that, know that, know that, know that. And always chant every day 16 rounds of Mahamantra. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So he gave the four. How many legs does a cow have? How many legs does a cow have? 4 legs. Okay. How many legs does a bull have? A bull. Yes, 4 legs. What do those legs represent to all human society? This is coming from first canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, in the story of Maharaj Parikshit meeting the personality of the age of Kali. And there is very clearly described that there are 4 principles of Dharma. What are those 4 principles? Satyam, Socham, Daya, Kshantir. Truthfulness. Satyam. Socham. Purity. Cleanliness. Daya. Compassion and mercy. And Kshantir. Tolerance. Tolerance. Those are the 4 regulated principles. Those are the 4 principles of Dharma. There cannot be actual Dharma. There cannot be real, true religion unless these 4 are followed in one's life. Cannot be. One must be truthful, not speaking lies, not being deceitful, not falsities. One has to be truthful. One has to live a truthful life. Socham, one has to be very clean. But does this cleanliness mean only using soap and water on the body? No. It means internally. Your mind must also be clean. Your intelligence must also be pure and clean. This is the principle of a Brahmana. That's why the Brahmanas are called Suchi, clean. Because they are following this principle of cleanliness continually. Srila Prabhupada also told, on many occasions, as his movement was developing, he would tell, I have come to the West to make Brahmanas. Of course, he's come to make Vaishnavas, but real Brahmana is a Vaishnava. But real Brahmana also means clean. And that means internally and externally. And sometimes Srila Prabhupada would actually tell that when you eat something, this was like a very basic instruction he was giving to the young devotees whom he gave the Gayatri mantras Diksha. He gave to them. And he said, whenever you eat anything, then you must wash with water your mouth, your hands, and your feet. Yes. Yes.
Eating with the hands, not with the feet.
Because this is the rule and regulation for cleanliness after eating. But of course we have adjusted that. No, there's many others, the eyes and so forth. But these, Prabhupada told, wash your face, hands and feet. Sorry, mouth, hands and feet. Why was he telling this? This is such a basic instruction. Because in the West, the culture is not cleanliness. They eat without washing their mouth even. Even sometimes without washing their hands. So Prabhupada was training in the most basic principles. Okay? And that is necessary and essential. Because the Western culture is the opposite of Brahminical culture. It's the complete opposite of Brahminical culture. But does that mean that Westerners born outside of India cannot become Brahmanas? Or what to speak of people born inside of India? The massive people inside of India are also completely fallen. Majority, vast majority. But they have some dharmic principles in their culture. And that's their advantage, you see. That's the advantage because the culture. So therefore, Srila Prabhupada, you know what he told? I remember the first time that I saw him. The first time I saw Srila Prabhupada with my eyes in 1971 when he came to the airport. And then he came to our temple in Detroit, in America. And for 3 days he stayed there. And we heard him morning and evening, morning and evening. This was after I waited 1 whole year to see Srila Prabhupada. 1 whole year, going out on Sankirtan 6 hours a day, in the snow, in Chicago, which is just like the weather of Moscow, okay? Every day 6 hours on the streets, doing such extreme austerities to please Srila Prabhupada. So Srila Prabhupada, when I saw him, this was the ultimate perfection of my life, of many millions of lives, to see him. But you know what, Prabhupada? He told so many nice things. And one of the things I remember in those classes that he told, he said, this Krishna consciousness movement is a cultural movement. And at that time, I was very young. I was just turning 19 years of age. I did not really understand what does that mean, that this Krishna consciousness movement is a cultural movement. At that time, I had some idea of culture. Nowadays, this word is used so much. Culture. You know. Cultura. You know. But in course of time, I began to understand what is the meaning that Prabhupada said. This Krishna consciousness movement is a cultural movement. I discovered that in Srila Prabhupada's preface to his Srimad Bhagavatam, he says that exact statement. Read it. One class, I'm going to read that preface to you. Amazing, short preface. And he says there, this Srimad Bhagavatam is a cultural presentation meant for the re-spiritualization of the entire human society. And then he said, and not even that, of all living entities. The re-spiritualization. That's his direct statement there. It is a cultural presentation. So what does that mean? That means ultimately, the culture of what? Of grudge. Braj culture. That is Srimad Bhagavatam. That is the essence. That is the highest culture of the living entities. But in order to enter into that, culture, we have to follow Varnashram Dharma. Yes. Because Varnashram Dharma will gradually elevate the living entities. Yes. And by following Varnashram, you will be following the 4 principles of Dharma, which are the 4 legs of what? 4 legs of what? Yes. So, the cow and the bull, their legs represent these 4 pillars of religiosity. Yes. Pillars of Dharma. The legs of the cow represent that. And that's why Kali, this false king, Maharaj Kali Yuga. There's 2. There's Kali and Kali. Goddess Kali is, Durga. But Kali means this king of Kali Yuga. Yes, the ruler of the age of Kali. And after Krishna departed from this world, and Maharaj Parikshit was touring his kingdom, and he also had his forces with him, his military, everything. He was touring to see. And suddenly here was this person dressed in black, all dressed in black. You know what black means? It means like tamagun, darkness, black. Nowadays, in the Western world, people love to do what? Dress in black. You see? I never liked that. Jai Shri Gurudev. Look at how Radha Vinod Bihari have sent their sevak to give us their mercy, their prasad. Jai Shri Shri Radha Vinod Bihari Jiva Ki Jai. Okay. Close that door again. So. And this false king was beating. He was beating the legs of a bull. Huh? And the bull was being tortured by it. That was never ever seen before. Never in the kingdom of the Pandavas, or practically even in any yuga, where somebody would be beating a bull, mercilessly beating, and the bull's legs had been broken down, and he was standing only on one leg. Maharaj Parikshit came upon this, got off of his horse, took out his sword, and was about to slice off his head. But what did that so-called king do? Don't kill me. When a Kshatriya is about to kill somebody and they beg for mercy to not be killed, the Kshatriya has to give them some mercy. But then that king started to talk to Maharaj Parikshit, and he said, "My dear king, I am the personality of this new Yuga, this Kali Yuga. I am the Maharaj Kali."
My time has come.
Huh?
My time has come, no.
Yes. And he said, now Kali Yuga has come. So, you are the king. But see, Maharaj Parikshit told him, you must leave my kingdom.
Yes.
But he said, but there is no place that is not your kingdom. Everywhere is your kingdom. And he said, at least you should give me some place that I can stay in your kingdom. Okay, you can stay wherever there is the slaughtering and eating of meat, animals. There you can stay. You can also stay wherever there is intoxication, like drinking alcohol and everything. Okay? You can stay there. You can also stay where there is gambling. Because where there is gambling, there is all sinful activities. And you can stay in the fourth place, where there is no illicit sex life. And then Goddess Kali, Goddess Kali, Maharaj Kali, he said, but there's no place in your kingdom where these four activities are going on. So then Maharaj Parikshit said, okay, I give you one last place. Wherever gold is being hoarded, there you can stay. And that is how Kali entered into the kingdom of Maharaj Parikshit and entered the Kali Yuga of our whole planet. So, in the purports there, Srila Prabhupada is clearly explaining that these four sinful activities, they are corresponding to the four legs of the bull, to the four pillars of Dharma. If you do those four activities, then those pillars of Dharma will be collapse. They will collapse. You cannot follow the path of Dharma. That's why Srila Prabhupada gave the four regulative principles. And within those four regulative principles, we find also many, many other principles. And that's the expanded version is called Sri Upadesamrta. What to do, what to follow, what to not do. All of these things are given there. You see? So in this way, this Upadeshamrita is given directly by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. We just heard that. Okay? And Rupa Goswami was also there in that assembly. And he compiled and he wrote down these shlokas, these 11 shlokas. Okay? So in this way, from the very beginning of one's life in bhakti, if a devotee wants to enter into this realm of bhakti, he has to renounce the activities that are unfavorable for the progress of spiritual life. So then he tells, in brief, Gurudev is telling, these include the urges of the mind, of speech, of anger, tongue, stomach, and genitals. These 6. And then Gurudev says, as well as to avoid overeating, unnecessary endeavors, useless conversation, improper compliance with the rules and the regulations of devotion, bad association, and either greed or the restlessness of the mind to adopt worthless opinions. Gurudev is actually giving us the verses in this little introduction. He says, simultaneously, it is imperative to adopt those things that nourish one's bhakti, such as enthusiasm, determination, patience, good behavior that is associated with bhakti, and the ideals for devotional life, and that have been established by pure devotees. So then Gurudev says, so after progressing somewhat, one should engage in the 6 kinds of what? Sadhu Sangha. The 6 kinds of exchanges with devotees. Dadati, pratigrinnati, guhyam akyati, pritchati, bhunkte, bojayate, chaiva, shadvidam, priti lakshanam. What are those? Dadati, pratigrinnati. Now, this is talking about exchanges between a devotee and another devotee, but especially it's talking about exchanges with a higher devotee and an advanced Vaishnava and a pure devotee, especially. So what is that? Dadati, to give something. So give some gift. Pratigrinnati, to accept a gift. To accept a gift. Guhyam akyati pritchati. Guhyam means confidential, to discuss confidentially. You know what we're doing in this class right now? This is exactly what we're doing. Guhyam akyati pritchati. Akyati means to speak, and pritchati means to inquire. So persons who come to such an assembly, they are following these exchanges. And bhunkte bojayate chaiva. You know what that means? Bhunkte bojayate chaiva. Bhunkte means that you are offering prasadam to a devotee. Or you're cooking it. And you're also bringing it and offering it to a devotee. It's like Gaurangi. She's doing every day so expertly. And whatever sannyasi she sees, starts to feed them also. She knows the key to success. So bhunkte bojayate. Bojayate means what? It means to accept prasadam. When these 6 activities, when they're actually practiced, that's why Rupa Goswami wrote this verse, because Mahaprabhu has told that you must have these 6 exchanges with Vaishnavas, and especially senior elevated Vaishnavas more than yourself. So when those activities are practiced, what happens? Sadvidham priti lakshanam. Priti means love and affection. That is the key to developing loving interactions and loving affection with the Vaishnavas. So Gurudev is saying that after we progress somewhat on this path of bhakti, then we should also have these 6 kinds of exchanges with devotees, and we should also learn how to give appropriate respect to the 3 levels of Vaishnavas and to serve them accordingly. So in the 5th shloka of Upadesamrta, that is emphasized there, 5th, 6th, and 7th shlokas are emphasizing association with, and how to identify and how to respect the different levels of Vaishnavas. Because if there is a Vaishnava who is on a very high level and we disrespect that Vaishnava, a very, very big problem will come in your spiritual life. Yes. So, then Gurudev says, finally, after doing all this, while we are residing either physically or mentally in Braja, and we are following in the footsteps of devotees who possess deep love for Krishna and who are so expert at relishing the devotional mellows of Braj Ras, we are associating with such devotees, then one should constantly engage his tongue and his mind in chanting and in remembering Shri Krishna's what? Names, Nam, form, Rupa, Guna, qualities, and Leela, pastimes. These 4. One should engage his mind and tongue in chanting, hearing, and remembering. Just as Srimati Radhika is the most dear to Krishna, similarly her pond, her kunda, is also the most dear to Krishna, Radha Kunda. Therefore, the practitioners of bhakti must certainly take shelter of the embodiment of the ultimate devotional ecstasy, Mahabhav. Srimati Radhika must take shelter of her pond, Shri Radha Kunda. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu completely preserved this topmost essence of all instructions within the verses of Sri Upadesamrta. Here, in 2 paragraphs, Gurudev just told us the whole Upadesamrta in brief, in his preface. After that, he's going to talk a little bit about Srila Rupa Goswami. We'll save that for our next class. But how exciting this is. How exciting. What is the word for exciting in Russian? Very exciting. Ooh. So we're going to have such a good time. Exciting. Like little children, they become very excited. Huh? Volnuishya. Okay. Very exciting. This is very exciting because we're going on a journey and Gurudev is holding us by the hand. You know Gurudev? One time, and I'll end my class now with this final quotation from Gurudev. Gurudev said, I will show you the pathway that you will have to follow. I will show that to you. And not only that, but I'll also walk with you on that pathway, holding your hand. But I will not carry you. You will have to walk on your own 2 feet. And what does that mean, to walk on your own 2 feet? It means to follow the process. You understand? No one will reach there without it. And we should understand that so clearly in our spiritual life. That's why I'm giving these classes to you. Because I want to understand these things. And I want that you will also understand. And then you will follow. And you will become successful. Because why should you not be successful? You're living in Navadvip Dham. You don't come to Navadvip Dham to not gain the highest possible thing that's possible to gain in the whole universe. You come to Navadvip Dham to get the Gaur Prem. But the only way Gaur Prem is going to come is by following these instructions. And the only way that you're going to follow these instructions is by what? Learning what they are. Okay? So when Gurudev says, I'll show you the pathway, that means class like this. Gurudev is giving to us in his book. What you'll have to do. Here's the pathway. And I'll also walk with you. I'll hold your hand. But I'll not carry you. So, don't expect, I'm too weak. You know how many times Gurudev told this? Almost every festival in the Western countries, especially in Badger, because he would come there every year for 15 years. Every single year for 15 years. And there were many senior devotees also there in America. And they would come. But then Gurudev would examine everyone. And then he would tell, especially after some years, then he started to tell, I'm very worried for all of you. I'm very worried for all of you. Because I'm seeing that detachment is not coming in you. And it is not coming because why? You are not doing bhakti. He would chastise you. And then many times Gurudev would say to the devotees, don't be weak. Don't be weak. I know that word in Russian because I've repeated it many times and my translator has already also spoken it many times. Slava something, right? Slavic? Slavony. Don't be slovenly. You know, it's easy for me to remember that because in the English language we have a similar word which indicates it's called, you're nothing but a slob. Slob means a person that's really dirty, filthy, doesn't take care of himself. You're a slob. Doesn't dress properly. So slobomy means what? It means weak. To become weak. So I already told what Prabhupada told in his book, that if you don't read these books and you don't follow them, you'll become weak. And gradually you'll fall down. And this is what Gurudev was encountering all the time. And I've seen it with my own eyes everywhere that I go. In all these last 25 years of constantly touring the whole world, I see it. That even senior devotees and older devotees are becoming weak. Slovenly. Why? Because they're not properly following. That's why. They're very good. They're good devotees. But they're not properly following. And then they also invent many concoctions in their mind that it's okay to not follow. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. I've seen everything, top to bottom. So like this. Alright? So Gurudev said, don't be weak. He would say it again and again. And then Gurudev, when he would come the next year, he says in the beginning of the festival, I'm again seeing that you have all become weak. So that's why I have to keep on coming and coming and coming every year. But then in 2010, when Gurudev came, he sat on his Vyasa there after arriving, and the first words out of his mouth, this will be the last. And he already knew it. He already announced it. So, all of us have to learn how to stand on our own 2 feet and how to walk on our own 2 feet. So, that means following Upadesamrta. And then we should also check ourselves. Because you know what I've done over the years? I've actually tested this. That if you feel that somehow your Krishna consciousness, something is going on that should not be there, then you look at the first 4 verses especially of Upadesamrita. Am I following? Am I following properly? And you know what you're going to discover? You're not following. Guaranteed. Guaranteed. You're not following. So, actually it's not difficult. Srila Prabhupada told so many times, he says, it is not difficult to perform this pathway of bhakti. For those who have a simple heart, and are sincere. But for those who are crooked, it is difficult. And that's why we're going to study Manasiksha also, because Raghunath Das Goswami is going to attack all the crooked tendencies. Yes, because otherwise we cannot go to Braj. Jai Shri Upadesamritam ki Jai, Shri Rupa Goswami Pada ki Jai, Shri Raghunath Das Goswami Pada ki Jai, Samaveta Bhakta Vrinda ki Jai, Jai Gaur Premanandi. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama. Nitai Gaur Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol. Nitai Gaur Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol. Shri Shri Guru Gauranga Gandharvika Giridhari Shri Shri Radha Vinod Vihari Jiu Ki Jai. Jai Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai. Shri Rupanuga Guru Varga Ki Jai. Sachinandan Gaur Hari Ki Jai. Shri Nityananda Prabhu Ki Jai. Shri Pancha Tattva Ki Jai. Samaveta Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. Nitai Gaur Pramanand. Srila Gurudev Ki Jai. Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhuvyeja Cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo. So the devotees, this week now, this is a solid week. Starting Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Each day is a very significant day. First is Madhvacharya, appearance day, and then on Tuesday, Ramanujacharya, appearance day. Then on Wednesday is Ekadasi. Then on Thursday is Varaha day, Varaha Dvadashi. Then on Friday is a very big day. You know what that day is? Nitai. Yes. Nityananda. That is a very big day. Yes. So then on the day after Nityananda, then we break our fast. And then on Sunday is the sannyas day of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the day that he took sannyas. That is also full moon day, Purnima. So the whole week, like that. So on Tuesday, Thursday, and Sunday, we'll have class. But how can we not have class? How can we not have class on Nityananda Prabhu's day? We will definitely have class on Nityananda Prabhu's day, which will be Friday. Okay? So everybody remember. And then we'll see also. There's so many other. And then the next week after that, 2 very big days. Very big. 125 anniversary years of Srila Bhakti Pragyana Kesava, his appearance. And then 2 days after, 150th anniversary. 150th anniversary of Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur. Very big days.
149.
Huh? 150. So, also, I'm being requested to give a class by Yashodanandan Prabhu on Zoom. And my time for that, it's a half an hour slot, will be at 5 p.m. on the day before Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati. So, I think Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati is on Thursday. I forget, Thursday or Tuesday or Wednesday and Friday. I can't remember. So in that way, I'll also be speaking on that day. I'll try to come here to do that speaking for half an hour. Okay. Mahaprasadam ki jai. When? Yeah. Well, the next day is the Tuesday. What I'm going to do on that day is I'm going to give some short katha for Madhvacharya and Ramanujacharya, and then I'll continue. And then on Thursday, what did I say that is again? Thursday. have to look at it.